I don't know how it started. I don't know what you did. Now I'm the gal that's chasing you up. Flip my lid. Come here, eager beaver, baby.
Hello and welcome to
Was That an Orgy? Woo!
starring Charlene and Teresa Bawd, two sisters that explore the topics of sex, sexuality, gender, and sex positivity. We will also try to answer the question, was that an orgy?
Yeah.
2022.
2020 turd.
It's
Let's hope not.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 2020 part 2.
Yes. Goodbye, 2020 spun.
Yes.
Ugh.
Goodbye.
We need to get sound effects like of the toilet flushing, you know?
Yeah, this is us
yeah.
breaking the turd with a stick, and next we're flushing.
Yeah, sticking in like one of those hand egg beaters down in there, you know, making sure it all goes down.
Ooh, like an
Yeah.
immersion blender?
Yeah, like an
Yeah.
immersion
Okay.
blender. I keep
Very
one by my
nice.
toilet. I
Oh
don't know
my
about
God,
you
I'm
guys.
so
but
disgusted right now.
I'm keto. I get constipated, you know. It's like that.
Giving birth to mayonnaise jars on a daily basis.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Like a brick. Like
Yeah,
you're passing
like a big old brick turd.
mayonnaise jar.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Bleh.
Ew, so gross.
Filled with concrete. Yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah, hope you guys like our Christmas picture. That was actually a picture of our actual Christmas. I brought Jesus, the blow up doll. Our stepdad always teases me like being the one that's like gets less action. He's like, "Hey, you gonna bring your blow up doll turtle?" And I was like, "Oh, you fucking asked for it." I was gonna dress him like Jesus too and put a birthday hat on him, but
you couldn't find a little white robe small enough for him.
Yeah, I was just like, you know me, just always meaning well, but then running, you know, I have problems with like time management and planning. So then it was just like, grab the blow up doll, put it in the car. And I had it in the passenger seat, you know, so that I could drive in the, you know, carpool lane. It was great. I almost brought him into our stepsister Dinah's dinner party, but I was like, nah.
Oh my God, that would have been so funny.
Wouldn't that have been great?
I just don't get why they sell him. Like, he doesn't have a penis. He doesn't have any holes. He doesn't even have a hole in his mouth.
Yeah.
His chest hair is fake.
Yeah.
Everything is fake.
Yeah.
What is the point?
I think it's a sign of the times. They think that a woman just wants something to talk at.
Oh.
You know, he just listens so well. They just forgot to put like a nod feature in him and go, you know, maybe like a little, you know, one of those like little push button, like the fart machine that can say things like, "Oh, and how'd that make you feel? Oh, I'm so sorry." You know, things like that. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to get "you're pretty" in there every once in a while too.
You're pretty. Yeah, exactly.
You're pretty.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I love him. He looks like a little Burt Reynolds.
He does look like a Burt Reynolds.
I think that's kind of cute.
Yeah. And he's like only like 4 foot, I don't know, 10 or something like that. You know, perfect for motorboat slow dancing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of squeaky in all the right places.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have such a special story for us.
I do have a special
I am
story.
so excited. And this was like kind of a cool way for you to wrap up the last couple of years. Like you did some major growth in 2020 and 2021.
Let's not talk about my waistline right now. Yeah.
Oh,
I'll
man.
say. So yeah, I'll just break it down. I'll just jump right in.
Get
break it. Yeah, so for about 15 years, I'm going to confess to the cameras. Mom likes it when I make eye contact with the camera. This one's for you, Mom.
Okay.
So for about 15 years, I have been wanting to go on an ayahuasca journey. Ayahuasca. And like, it all started with a National Geographic article I read and just sounded pretty fucking spiritual, pretty badass. And, you know, I've been doing lots of healing work my adult life, not just being a massage therapist, but I kind of more identify with being a wounded healer, where it's like, you know, first you get wounded by life and then you get attracted to healing. And then, you know, you're constantly on your healing path while you're healing yourself and others if you make a profession out of it. And so finally, because of this time opening up, like quarantine and COVID was sort of like, I felt kind of conflicted about it, but it decimates massage careers and music careers because it's like 6-foot distance. How can you do a massage with 6-foot distance? Wearing masks, suffocating.
Put plastic hands on
Yeah.
the ends of poles or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Ski
Ooh.
poles. Right.
Very relaxing.
Very relaxing. Yeah, just do Reiki from the other room. Yeah. Is that too hard? Yeah. So yeah, but it was a much needed break. And it was really hard to find the right place to do it, because like if you're going to go to Peru, everyone I know like talks about Ricardo, go to see Ricardo, this shaman in Peru. And I have these awesome flight benefits. I won't go into great detail, but the flight benefits I have don't go to Peru. So then I was like, shit, plan B. And then so I started talking to people, and then I found another person who's a student of Ricardo's. I can't say where.
Oh my goodness.
But I was able to get there, and I was probably in communication with this guy for like 9 months. And then you have to do this rigorous diet where you have like no salt, no alcohol, no like pharmaceutical drugs. You have to be in good health, can't have any heart problems, because ayahuasca can like speed up your heart rate, increase your blood pressure and stuff, like all good drugs. And so I've watched a lot of videos. You know me, it's like that's how I take care of my anxiety and neuroses, is like, just research, drink from the fire hydrant of self-education. And so then I watch a lot of videos saying, oh, look, it's my dear friend calling.
Oh, who's that handsome man?
I should just put him on. No, I won't do it. I won't put him on speakerphone. Yeah. My husband's calling. I love you. But anyway, so let's see. Where was I?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Diet.
Yeah,
Diet yeah. So I had to kick my sleeping pills and, get off.
Oh man.
You're also supposed to eat like a real low fat, vegetarian, no salt diet. And so that there's nothing in your body that's like conflicting with it, the ayahuasca. And then people have said, when I watched all these videos, they were saying like, well, go in with a lot of intentions, and there's so much conflicting information. And some people were like, no, ask it what it has to teach you. So I kind of made a plan to do both. And it was really trippy because I think that I was so nervous about all the crazy stories you hear. Like some of the videos are out there are like, don't do it. And it traumatized me and stuff. And so I went in with like a lot of intentions, so much so that I almost felt like, just almost like hyper alert, hyper vigilant, like, don't hurt me. Oh God, And so how it goes is we were all like staying in a yurt together, 12 people. Most of them kind of knew someone in there. And then and you're going to sleep in that same room. And then there's like this commons area where you can go and cook and things like that. And so then what they do is they, you all get on your like little pads in this big circle and take your ayahuasca. And then you, after, a couple or few hours, who knows? Because there's no clocks. And when they do the ceremony, that everything's just blackout.
Oh,
blackout dark.
What? Really?
Yeah. So
you get high and sit in the dark?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't know that part.
And so, that's a lot of people's like worst nightmare, right? It's like taking a hallucinogen and then having to sit in the dark with your own thoughts.
Oh, God.
But that's the whole point of it, is that, this is supposed to be a go inward sort of beyond self-reflect, like be with yourself.
Yeah.
And then and do your inner work. And so it's certainly not a social drug. You're not supposed to talk to anyone while you're in there,
You're not
And
dancing with each other and stuff like that.
exactly. Just,
Wow.
it's not a slumber party. It's the anti-slumber party. So the first night we all like did it, and I don't know why it is, but for the first dose of every single night, we did it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I didn't feel anything after the first dose. And I'm laying there, like the first night, and you're excited and nervous and just like wondering, oh God, what's going to happen? And I made a lot of intentions with myself, like, and my fallback plan was essentially, if I start to feel like we're all afraid of, well, most of us afraid of like death and dying. And so when we take a hallucinogen, a powerful hallucinogen, we fear losing control. And I think subconsciously that's related to like the sense that like I am safe because I'm in control of things.
Right.
And this is how I stay alive, is like by staying in control of things.
Right, as if we have to deliberately be sane all the time. Like, oh boy, if I just let go, I'd go completely insane. It's like, it's such a weird fear, but I think a lot of people have it where it's like, gosh, I'm just on the brink all the time.
Right. And what'll make you fucking crazy is, trying to stay in control of everything all the time.
This is so true.
So I made the intention. I was just sort of like, okay, because like it's not my first rodeo. When I was younger and started getting into the rave scene, we didn't know about set and setting and hallucinogens and doses. So like I just over inundated myself in the worst places. Like the first time I ate mushrooms, I was like, I'll eat the whole bag. Like I ate a whole 18 scrawny little, anorexic thing. I'll eat the mushrooms, And then me and my friends were downtown at the waterfront the summertime. And then all of a sudden you're like, I can hardly use my mouth. Oh my God. And so I've learned, at least had some insight as to what powerful hallucinogens can do to your brain and your, a loose grip on the illusion of control and reality for that matter. And so I just told myself, I was like, okay, if I start to lose touch with reality and get freaked out, I'm going to try to remember my mantra that, that I'm safe even if I'm not in control. I'm not actually dying. And that, I can just go back to my loving inner being. My loving inner being will always be there for me if I just remember and go back to that and sort of like rest there and sort of observe whatever the hell my mind is doing.
Yeah.
And so, first night, not a lot happened. I sat around and kind of felt like I was in like a swamp listening to a bunch of like, toads with indigestion belching and puking and like, bleh, bleh. And the weird thing is I didn't even get nauseous. Everyone's like, I went into it like, oh my God, I'm going to feel so sick. I'm going to puke my brains out. I'm going to shit. What if I shit myself in public? Oh,
so are people shitting into a bucket?
They're not
puking into a bucket? Like
pooping in the room. Thank God.
Okay. Thank
God.
Not
that I'm aware
I was imagining that they're just like in the dark, like diarrheaing right next to you.
I didn't smell it. I can't say it didn't happen, but I never smelled that.
Oh, well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah, I have to say that was definitely the most intense part of the entire journey. The 4-day journey was like, you really have to find a way to make peace while those around you are barfing. And if you're empathetic, then it's like you find yourself almost like getting sick too, just from hearing people like getting sick around you.
Yeah.
I did anyway. And so anyway, first night, not a lot happened. I kind of like intentionally did some like guided visual meditations, going back. And, my intention was to kind of do some inner child work and heal that, weird, just kind of self-loathing or insecurity that I've had all my life. And then second night, I talked to the medicine carrier and was like, not a lot happened. I didn't get sick. It sounds like I'm disappointed. I didn't even get sick.
I didn't even barf once.
Yeah, I didn't even fart. But then not a lot happened. It was super gentle. Second night, first dose, didn't feel anything. And I really love too, like they do these like they call you up sometimes one at a time and do these chanting things around you and sing,
Oh.
into your, everything. And that part was really cool too, because I didn't know what they were saying. I'd sometimes recognize a word or two, like Madre Tierra or something like that.
Mm.
And anyway, the second night, first dose, nothing. And then I'm starting to like lay there and feel entitled and pissed off. Like, did I really spend this much money
Yeah.
to travel this far to just sit around and listen to people puke, all weekend?
Sounds fun.
I know. It's a gay old time. Yeah, if that was my fetish, then that would be like fucking awesome. But
Totally.
not my fetish. So then, like, yeah, second dose, when they call you up for the second dose, then I started actually. Oh yeah, and I think that for some reason with me, I don't know if it's the sound. I'm so like auditory,
Mhm.
but it was when they did the singing thing after the second dose. That's when it like kicked in, and then I was like,
Oh.
okay, I fucking feel something now. This is, and it's different than, I've taken the gamut of, hallucinogens, LSD, MDMA, mushroom, and so just keep going down the list. And then, I was noticing this kind of fear or anxiety coming up in me.
Mm.
And then that's when I started doing that work with like kind of bringing my loving inner being to the situation.
Yeah.
And then using that opportunity to really go deeply into whatever the fear or the anxiety is.
Mhm.
And I found that in there, like there was a feeling that was very much took me back to the military base we lived on in San Diego.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And it was like, it took me back to, you remember what little psychotic assholes the kids around there were?
Yeah, they were little fuckers.
Sentient psychotic fuckers and assholes. But nonetheless,
Yeah,
I'm
God,
sure they all
were-
learned it honestly.
They were pretty nasty kids.
Yeah. So first, what I did was, it was really, I have to say, probably one of the most profound experiences I've had in my life,
Ah.
because there's such an emotional connection that happened. And for a lot of people, like, they say that, like, who doesn't have trauma? And,
Mhm.
these days, it's like,
Right.
we're discovering how easy it is to like get trauma, and trauma can make you start to like live in your head and disconnect with your body because it's safe. If you stay in control in your head,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't have to feel the out of control uh physical experience of having yourself hurt on a more like holistic systemic level. But anyway, so then I went back to the military base, and I was just sort of really connecting with that terrified little kid, because there were so many times like, maybe mom was volunteering at, what was it, the Blue Cross or something like
Yeah,
that.
the Red Cross, I
Red
think.
Cross,
Yeah.
and we would get babysat by like a neighbor with a psycho kid.
Yeah, God, she was the worst.
Yeah, I mean, there were multiple. I
Yeah.
mean, I won't name names. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
They'd never hear this, but
Yeah. I'd be so shocked if they were even aware of our
right?
existence.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, but anyway,
They're
in
probably
my-
like, yeah, remember those two little red-headed fuckers we used to torture?
Yeah.
That was great.
while they're rubbing one out. Yeah. In the penitentiary that they're in now,
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. Oh my God. Hopefully all together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like first I went back and could really emotionally connect with that terrified little kid. Like, how old was I? Like 3 and 4 there or something?
Oh, in San Diego?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we moved there when you were 3 and 4. We were there for a
I
little
think
while.
we moved there when I was 2.5,
Yeah.
and then we left when I was 5, I think.
5, yeah.
And then, but I went back and like really could feel, they say like a lot of specialists in traumas, like one of the most famous books is called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And that's, the whole point of it is that your body holds those memories and that you can access them, which sounds terrifying. But what I found is that it was actually, when you're putting so much energy into avoiding something,
Mhm.
and then you have some kind of like chemical assistance like this, and the intention, you're in the appropriate set and setting to do this kind of, medicinal, psychospiritual, emotional healing,
Mhm.
it's appropriate and you can do it and you've got the support there. And so like I really connected with like this terrified little Teresa. And what was cool was that I was simultaneously having the experience with that intention I'd had to stay connected with my loving inner being,
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
sentient aspect of yourself.
Yeah.
And then it was like I went back and as my loving inner being stood up for myself, and talked to all the little kids and set the boundaries, and like put little Teresa inside and like literally had this conversation, not out in my head,
Right.
but then and it felt really good. I could, and it was such an interesting feeling to feel really emotionally present and in, my inner child
Yeah.
and be this other loving inner being. And I found that in the moments too, like I was even like kind of holding my hand, and one hand felt like the big hand, and one felt like the vulnerable hand,
Oh, wow.
And so it was very profound. And then at some point, I found they kind of integrated to where then I couldn't feel, which hand was the big and the little. And they both kind of, it became an integrated experience, like, me coming back into being both of those things.
Yeah.
And it was so profoundly empowering. And then strangely, then like the kind of scary shit started happening, where it was like all of it. You're like, oh no, it really was like, what are those called?
Like a
Not
tornado?
A
or
tornado.
something?
Yeah, that's it. And so then it literally, like, I'm glad you mentioned that, because honestly, then the visuals really started to take over in my head.
Oh,
And,
dude.
when you feel the visuals start to take over, then you're like, oh shit, fasten on your like psychic safety helmet,
Yeah,
because
and you're in a perfectly black room, so the
Totally.
visuals are all created by your brain.
Yeah,
There
you
is
can't-
like no
yeah.
light
right.
helping those visuals happen. That's
Yeah.
kooky. Wow.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And then, so the visuals, but I just kept telling myself, like, okay, this is the part of the trip where you did ask ayahuasca, like, well, also show me what you have to show me, teach me what you have to teach me.
Mhm.
And it was like the tornado, if you imagine looking into the eye of it, but strangely, it all had this visceral component to it, where it was like, if you imagine taking like all of the guts from a butcher's floor and putting them into a big blender, like it had this weird look of like intestines and eyes and things like turning into it. And like, my mind started kind of going, I don't like this. This is not pleasant.
You didn't like the gut blender?
I
Because
didn't
that
like-
sounds super fun.
I didn't like the gut blender, but I was trying to.
That's a good metaphor for 2021, though. You're like,
right, the gut
I
blender.
don't like this, and there's a bunch of like, so a large colon goes flying past you with eyeballs
exactly.
and shit.
And shit splatters, whether it's in a fan or a blender. So you did duck and cover. But yeah, so
Jesus.
but then like I started just trying to surrender to it and just being like, okay, well, just be with it. Don't judge it. Don't resist it. Just observe it. And, of course, the unpleasantness of watching the gut blender is that we're very terrified by any visuals of our mortality, or us being dismembered in some way. We're brainwashed by that. I mean, like everything at Halloween is like, dead people, images of dead versions of necroses and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so then that trip, I think that what I did is then I was just really trying to hang with my loving inner being and just watch all the imagery and let it happen, and just watch the part of myself that was uncomfortable, and just kind of like be an open state and know there was some value to it. even though it wasn't the mandalas of butterflies and unicorns. I was when we think of healing, that's what we imagine is
Totally.
psychic salves and things that feel good.
Yeah.
But so then so that night was kind of like that. Let me see. Yeah, that's enough detail on that. And,
good there.
yeah, good there. See, and then so there was something really powerful that happened. I think. Oh yeah, the part that I think added to the next trip the next night was that I really started talking to my inner child and saying, like, I am never going to let this happen to you again. Like, it was almost like I was talking to a child saying, I am going to protect you. And, and it was so validating for my self-worth. And I think that as adults, we go through life. And if you have a wounded inner child, it can keep you from having confidence that, you're worthy of being stood up for, confident that you're going to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And that can very much affect your sexuality. And this is what leads us into night 2. Holy shit balls. So, oh my God. Yeah. Get your fucking body condoms on. So then actually it was the third night.
Yeah.
Then, so again, first round, nothing. I'm laying there just trying not to be entitled, listening to the, belching frogs in the swamp. Blech, blech. And there was like this one poor guy he was like the main, puker extraordinaire of every
the dude who
night.
had a cheeseburger when he wasn't supposed to.
I could tell he had a lot of digestive issues and not very good like self-care habits, young, self-destructive,
poor kid.
and it was hard not to like resent him, like, oh man, you're just like puking all over my spiritual experience. It'd be so much more peaceful if you weren't in here just bleh. But anyway, so first dose, nothing. And then second dose, like he really gives me a good second dose.
Because you told him again, hey,
I was like,
I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, what is it with me? You know? And
you're a redhead. They're like, you're
impenetrable to
seriously.
drugs. Yeah.
You're like painkillers and drugs, man. Gotta double up. It's
I know.
Not gonna work.
Yeah, both fists. Double time. So pound
Put
it
them
in.
together like this.
Yeah, exactly. Now clap. Tight, isn't it? Yeah. So then second dose, it was almost like the first one was probably about to kick in. And then he gave me the second one.
Oh.
Bigger. The first one was bigger. Second one was bigger. And I went back and like sat down on my mat and was just like, get me the fuck home. I am so sick of this, just sitting around listening to people puke. He calls me up, does the singy wingy dingy. And then I go and sit back down. And then it was like, boom, shakaraka.
Wow.
Got super high and was laying there on my pad. And all of a sudden I started getting fucking so out of my head horny like I have never been in my goddamn life. And I intended to do all the inner child work, and then I said like, well, ayahuasca, now teach me what you think that I need to learn. And I think that like I can see the way it all dovetails. It's like, in my inability to advocate for myself, like if you have a wounded inner child and you don't believe in yourself and you think there's probably something wrong with you or you're not good enough, it's easy to disconnect with your sexuality.
Yeah.
Because you start to think like, oh, well, I'm not really desirable. And if I'm not really desirable, then how can I express my desire to someone else?
Right.
And not be rejected. We're also, I think most of us are just inherently afraid of rejection because it goes back to the fundamental, attachment we needed to survive as like, cavemen and things like that. We needed tribe, we needed connection, we needed acceptance. So if you don't have that feeling and you don't know how to give it to yourself, then it's easy to be tormented and subconsciously led by a fear of rejection. And so I think after I did like the inner child work of like, really holding myself, really loving myself, really seeing my worth and feeling it, and coming to, this profession, this commitment to advocating for myself, protecting myself, loving myself, delighting in myself. Then all of a sudden, the last night was like, then all of a sudden ayahuasca, answered my question of what do you have to teach me? It's like ayahuasca was like, oh, hey, you know how you kind of withdraw from people and your sexuality because you get overwhelmed, because you have a hard time standing up for yourself and expressing your needs and desires. You know how you just shut down to the most fundamental energy of life itself, and what life and everything that's alive is like your body is designed to do is like, procreate and connect. And we are creative beings, and it's like, this is like the center of our procreativity, and I think now our creativity. And so it was like,
Totally.
all of a sudden it was like, Mount St. Teresa's monkey was like just laying there in my sleeping bag and just like not knowing what to do with it. And so then, like, I mean, it's pitch black. I hope no one in the room actually watches this, because then I was sort of like laying there like, well, maybe if I just like get rid of it like a hot potato, I'll try to just like diddle myself in my sleeping bag. And, and ayahuasca was like, girl, you can't just like throw it away. You're going to feel it. So then I was just like laying there, just like, and as I was just trying to think, how do I get rid of this? How do I make it go away? And that was the big lesson, is like, no, this is the ultimate, like, this is the most profound thing you have to take away from this is really feeling the power of it, really feeling the life force in it. I've struggled in my past with feeling, anxiety and depression and things like that. And you're depressing your life energy. And all
totally.
these goddamn Victorian shame ethics that, help, they misrepresent our sexuality, and they contort, our body images and put so much shame into it and everything. And, it's like when you, what was the word? Like, uncover, and then discover, what's there without all that shame there, and then recover, your naked core self with your divine sexuality. When you get in touch with that again, holy fucking shit. So I just had to like lay there and feel the power of it. And then what I was, the school marm, the Catholic school marm in my head was like, well, don't like feed into this. I mean, it's really inappropriate. You're in a room with a bunch of other strangers. So you got to just try to just hold it down. And then that wasn't working. It kind of got almost crazy making. So then I just started thinking like, all right, well, let's give into this. Let's really explore what it's like to just take the lid off. And then it was almost like a lifetime of, how they say, like, when you repress yourself, that energy doesn't go nowhere. It doesn't go away. It goes somewhere in you, in your body or your energy system. So then it was like a lifetime of like self-repression coming out, and then I was just like letting it go. And I started feeling like, a fucking horny Tasmanian devil, just letting my mind go, with everything that like I wanted to do, everything I've wanted to do to people, everything that sounded good in the moment and stuff. And I even like thought about like all the men in the room, and I was just sort of like,
even Pukey Boy. Did he? Were you like, oh, could I?
Pukey Boy was in his own little pig pen corner in my mind. I was like, God bless you, kid.
But all you dude except for Pukey Boy.
I just let myself play with the idea. And, found it the least threatening and the most attractive that I'd ever felt. I just normally just don't even go there. I keep it safe and appropriate and shit. And then, but I really let myself just go on with these like, fantasies, but also even talking in my own head, letting myself own my desire with words. And there was a liberation in letting myself have all of those words of exactly what I wanted with very specific, absolutely shameless terms that just felt so powerful.
Yes.
And
awesome.
yeah. And then, so that ayahuasca, the ceremony ended. I wasn't done. So let me check the clock again. Oh, okay.
yeah,
Good. I can
good.
go into great detail. Mom, turn off your computer now. Just kidding. But so then I was laying there at the end of that for a while, and like everyone tended to go back to the main, house and have tea and share stories and stuff. And I was just kind of like laying there, like, still having these like visuals and kind of contemplating what to do. And I get so much out of like connecting with other people.
Yeah.
But I really felt like I had gotten in contact with so much love for myself, my inner child, my inner being, but then this like sexually liberated, for lack of a better term, self, that all of a sudden I was like laying there in my sleeping bag and I was just feeling like, I don't think I want to share me right now. I'm pretty into me, And then all these strange new ways of talking to myself were coming to my mind, like, anything for you, Teresa. Like I was the precious one, and everything that I wanted. There was a part of me that just delighted in serving myself and pleasing myself, giving myself everything I wanted. And then, I was like, yeah, you know what? I just want to be alone. I just want to be with me. It's like being in love with someone else. You just want to be alone with that person.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
It was so awesome.
So you were having like new relationship energy with yourself.
Totally. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it was different than like, I'd taken ecstasy and MDMA when I was younger. And that was a more, what would you say? Like, forced experience. I can't think of the right words, but it's like, it does that to your chemistry.
Yeah.
It's just like, and now you're going to feel good,
Yep, it does.
And people have had bad trips on that stuff too, but for the most part, it just dumps your brain with, oxytocin, endorphins, serotonin, all that shit.
Yeah.
And so this was, you with ayahuasca, you can very much have a bad trip or a good trip. It's all you being with you.
Yeah.
So then like I decided like, no, I want me all to myself. And then I went to the car and luckily I had a couple sleeping bags in there. And I made like a little fort in the back of the car, and I was like, no, it's all me. No one gets to like see me. And, ate some like, protein bars and stuff like that. And I was just feeling so erotic, so insanely erotic and sensual, and was just like new relationship energy all over myself. And then, I was just sort of like, once I was in my car and I gave myself permission, I was like, yeah. I want to go all the way with myself. I'm really into me right now. So then like, I started kind of like taking my clothes off in the back of my car. And it was like, I was really touching myself with more awareness than I ever have before. Like, I think that especially as women in this culture, there's a lot of conflicted body image stuff we're given, especially about like our vulvas, our vaginas. There's so much shit around like, oh, they stink or they're ugly or, the discharge is gross. You name it. And I remember as a child, like, even just being so paranoid, walking down between the desks at school, like, God, can everyone smell me? Just this paranoia.
You can smell my pushing.
Yeah,
it's so gross. Even if you showered that morning.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
Just this paranoia that it's gross, you're gross.
Totally.
And so you combine that with like wounded inner child and, forget about it. And so my sexuality had always felt like it was almost like it was for someone else. Or for someone else's pleasure, or that someone else could give me permission if someone reflected to me that I was good enough, or that, my genitals and my body was good enough, that I would, be able to access some sense of the most open sexuality I'd experienced up to then. But then it was like, all of a sudden me doing all this healing work and then like touching myself with this new relationship with myself, it was really incredible. And then there was the moment, where I was like, I'm going to touch my pussy. And when I touched my pussy, like in this space where I was still high, like, holy shit, dog. I had never felt something so erotic in all of my life, something so powerful. Like it really felt like this it wasn't just erotic or sexual. It was like this powerful, like energy center. It was the most powerful thing I'd ever felt and the most beautiful thing I'd ever felt. Like, everything about it, the warmth, the moisture, the softness, the sensuality, like it was blowing my mind that I have had this my entire life. And I have been missing it the entire time. I felt like, no, this is real. All that other shit that I've been, feeling and thinking about, this part of me, this core of me, that was all the illusion, the imprisonment of all that negative conditioning. And that now I was finally being in touch with and being integrated with what has always been there. And beginning to feel for an inkling, like it's like I was saying, sometimes other people have touched me or my body. And through them, I've had a sense of like, being able to access through that window they gave me, being acceptable or being okay or, being good enough to be sexy or desirable.
Yeah.
But it was always in the hands of somebody else. And
right. And in some way it was always having to work against your fundamental or your core concept that you were gross or unattractive or something like that. And so it's like it could get you 75% of the way there, but it can't completely negate that inner voice that's saying, yeah, that's gross. It smells like tuna and it's ugly. Like you can't. So once you finally get past that and you're like, whoa, this is amazing. Then you could, first of all, accept it yourself. And then like, I guess I'm kind of curious, have you been with anyone else since then? And like, has that changed?
Well, that is I think that it has changed. It has changed. I wanted to go back to and say, I think one of the things I learned about it, which can hold you back sexually, is that we're also afraid of rejection. And I think that that's because if you haven't done your inner child work, then it's like, really the pain of rejection is that, if you agree with them, the only person that can really reject you is yourself. And so if you agree with them, then, it just touches that core instantly of they're right. I am unlovable. I'm not sexy. I'm not worthy. I am, I'm not desirable. No one wants my desire.
I knew it. This was going to fail because I'm unlovable. Yeah. And you're going to be proven right eventually, like unless they die or something like that. Then that doesn't mean you're unlovable, but anything else.
Yeah. And other people's moods can come and go and how they feel about you can come and go. But like, that's what I really had this dramatic experience. I can't even find the words for it. It was, all of it, physical, psycho-spiritual, emotional, visceral. And that it really, I started getting insight too, like, in those times in my life where people had desired me or had found pleasure in like touching my body or, experiencing my genitalia and stuff like that. There was really always a part of me that was like, really? This old ham wallet, but then I finally I was like, oh my God, maybe some of these people were actually experiencing me the way I am experiencing myself right now.
Yeah.
Like maybe even though I was missing it, they were still getting it, that the portal, the energy center, what it is. And so that was another breakthrough too, is like, I really didn't believe them when they were like, ooh la la, this thing. I just sort of thought like, oh, sure, everyone has to say that, you know.
Yeah. Right.
But then I was like, oh, holy fucking shit! Now I get it. It is
right.
amazing, you know, and they're all amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, I feel like it just kind of like, and again, that just being, experience number one.
Yeah.
I like, as the medicine carrier said, it's like, from your first experience, you're just basically like maybe halfway through the second paragraph on the first page of the book of
Wow.
ayahuasca,
Wow.
ayahuasca healing. But I definitely
Wow.
feel like literally once it was like, someone like unhinged like the fire hydrant, or like I was calling it like Mount St. Teresa. Like, it was fucking crazy making. Like,
Mm.
I couldn't put the lid back on, so like driving back, I drove to this secret destination. But when I was like driving back, I was just like, seriously, like, felt like the Tasmanian whore devil, just like, like all these plans in my head. And I just decided to let it go, like,
Yeah.
keep going with it. Like,
Yeah,
let,
yeah.
let the desire go. Cause it felt so great to just be able to own it and, and feel worthy, feel connected, feel the power of that desire, and to be
Yeah.
able to speak that desire,
Yeah.
put it into words, and to be alleviated from the, just that lead blanket of shame.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it has really changed not just my relationship with my body, not just my sexuality, but with my life itself. There is something so essential about your sexual energy that when that is again connected to your core,
Yeah.
your sense of self, your worthiness, your, desirability and your desire. And when you get that connected, now I've felt differently creatively. I've felt much more motivated to take on the creative projects that I'd gotten started with, because,
Yeah.
if you're just feeling like I'm not worthy, then, why complete anything? Who's going to want to see or buy anything that I make? It's all
Right.
a part of me, which is not enough.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It just can't be, it couldn't possibly be enough.
couldn't
Yeah.
possibly be
So
enough.
have you had the experience of like now kind of coming from that place of power, desire, stuff like that, and expressing a desire and then getting a reaction around that desire? Like, has that been an experience for you yet? Because I know that is a really powerful experience when you have it.
Yeah, I've had that experience, and it does feel like some next level shit. And the great thing is like, I even mean that on all levels of being able to express my desire and my sense of self-worth, i- in general on the
Yeah.
planet. I feel like I feel so much more permission. And even I have had a wonderful opportunity to stand up for myself. Like, I can't remember if I told you about that chick in my Zumba class that kept like
Oh,
hitting me.
yeah. That was after the ayahuasca thing?
I think so.
Oh, that's
Wasn't it?
awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, it was like, there was someone in my Zumba class who had a problem with my race, my authenticity, and was like, hitting me in the class, quote unquote, accidentally. And I was able to approach her and very, again, I, made the intention to connect with my loving inner being, and just kept telling myself, if you come from your loving inner being, you can't go wrong. You don't have to, there's no war to win here. It's about just being with your loving inner being and standing up for your precious little self, and you can't go wrong. And it ended up being the most beautiful connection that I had with this woman. We had such a deep talk about race, and we both we fist bumped, and we both walked away like after having that eye to eye, like meeting as people, transcending race, and healing together.
Yeah, right on.
It's fucking awesome. And then of course, as like my life coach of 20 years died this last Thursday.
Yeah.
And being able to after having that ayahuasca experience of facing fear
Mm-hmm.
and facing losing control and exercising, coming back into my loving inner being and watching her kind of regress, lose
Yeah.
control of her body and her mind and become very much like a baby, and being able to kind of soothe her and hold the space for her as I did my little self was
Yeah.
profoundly beautiful. And and to be just with her body for
Mm.
a while. There were parts of that got a little scary, but I think it was days of sleep deprivation.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh no.
And all those horrible, horror movies you see where it's like you're I don't know, they're staring at like the dead body or something like that, and then like all of a sudden they it comes back to life,
Yeah.
and,
And it grabs you.
Yeah. So I found myself like trying to usher little Teresa, like, let's just be with this body. Let's look at what you're fearing, and then
Yeah.
but yeah, then
Wow.
after a while of just being, getting a little freaked out, I was like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Little Teresa isn't liking this so much anymore. Let's,
let's take care of little Teresa by getting her out of the room.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go rub one out now. No, I'm just kidding. That's not my fetish either.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But
wow. That's
I know.
crazy. And then you went to Sanctuary.
And then I did go to Sanctuary. Yeah,
First
thanks for
time.
bringing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, for all that don't know, that's the would you call it a sex club?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, very much so.
I would call it a sex club.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was nuts. Like I flew back from Jan dying, got home Saturday morning, did a show, and then you showed up and you were like, "Hey, come to a comedy club with me at a sex club," and I was like, "This sounds apropos." Like going from death to a sex club. I mean, no one was inviting me to like a birthing clinic. That would be the other counterbalancing element.
True.
So, I was like, yeah, comedy at a sex club. Perfect.
Exactly.
Let's fucking do this.
That's pretty life affirming right there.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And talk about all that procreative energy. Like what I really loved going there. And I imagine that just like everything, there's a evolution to the experience of opening up to like being at a sex club.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't feel what I expected to feel, but I felt what I felt, which was just sort of a matter of factness about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered how much there's a part of me that's probably still self-protective and cut off, shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I just kind of allowed myself to watch people having sex. And it was so different than like, I've always been really uncomfortable going to like strip clubs because I just feel like, I don't know where to look. And also like, it's just not my jam. So it feels disrespectful. And then I start thinking about the strippers' childhoods and their fathers and wondering about their psychology.
And are they getting enough to eat? And, all that stuff. Yeah.
And all those huge tits look painful. And Jesus Christ, eat something. Yeah.
So skinny.
So skinny. But yeah, going to this sex club, I loved just how, it all just looked natural to me. It didn't scare me.
That's great.
Yeah. And the other great thing is that you figure like people that are having sex in public, they're not going there because they want privacy,
Totally not.
I mean, maybe they even get off on you looking and stuff.
I would assume that.
Yeah. I'm not, I don't assume anything, but I would say that could be a fair assumption.
If you're going to a sex club and having sex in public, there's a pretty good chance that you're okay with people looking at you.
Yeah. You might even be an exhibitionist.
You might be an exhibitionist if. Instead of getting a hotel room, you go to the sex club.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And that was it was great also to see the gender diversity and fluidity. And, I don't always have the correct terms. You're the pro. But But and also the other thing that I really liked about it was the age diversity.
Yes. Isn't that a great thing?
Yeah. I was really kind of expecting like I'd be the oldest person there.
Oh,
but there were definitely some people like, much older than you and I. And I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love seeing that.
Yeah.
It kind of lives down that fear that, we all have when we're younger of growing old, which is usually synonymous with like becoming, shutting down to life and
becoming irrelevant.
Yeah. Irrelevant, invisible,
Yeah.
non-sexual.
Yeah.
Again, on that life essence thing.
Yeah, right.
And there they were, just like, yeah.
Yep.
Totally into it.
They were.
It's inspiring.
Great. It is. I think that's part of what I like about it, is that it is so open to everyone except for haters, really.
Yeah.
Haters can fuck off. But
Yeah.
everyone else, it's just like body shape, body type.
Right.
What you have in your pants doesn't define you. All that, just all of it is just completely open, especially there.
Yeah.
And so it is like a very, and it makes for a really interesting sense of community, because you do wind up talking to people that you wouldn't normally see on a day-to-day basis. And you might go like, oh my gosh, this feels like community. And I may not have run into you otherwise, because who knows, maybe you're a lawyer and,
yeah,
I'm a comedian, so
right.
It's like, yeah.
It's
very
But
cool.
When all the clothes come off. But
we're just monkeys.
Yeah, we're just monkeys.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was another thing too that felt different about it, is that I think that there's an underlying intention to connect when you go there.
Yeah.
And it's not just like the average, like, club or meat market where a lot of people are, they're doing the old like peacock mating game, where a lot of people, they might be going to a club but really looking for that mate, the one mate.
Yeah.
And the feeling of this club was that people were really there for just connection and experience and self-expression. So it felt more open and connective.
Yeah, and playful, I think, too. Like,
at
a normal club, it's like, look at me. Oh, I'm too cool for you, though. Look at me. Don't look at me. Wait.
Yes.
You're looking too much. No, you're not looking enough, Whereas at this club, it's like, hey, hi, how you doing? Oh, you're looking at me. I'm looking at you, too.
Yeah, right.
Just super
It's more
casual.
Shameless.
It is. And it should be shameless.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And joyful. That's one of the things I got from that too, is in the absence of shame, it feels like there's so much more palpable joy and pleasure.
Yep.
When you don't have that like fissure of like shame, just like pissing on your orgy, it's, there's so much more lighthearted joy and affection and things like that. Yeah.
And people embracing whatever their sexuality looks like, feels like you'll see a lot of people using sex toys in clubs, because a lot of people use sex toys and they just don't talk about it a whole lot, or it's seen as some sort of like failing, or like, why do you need that? You got yourself a man, that kind of thing. And it's like, that is not the case, especially not there.
Yeah, this just makes it better.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't notice that. The only thing I noticed was, I think someone brought a flogger. And then the other thing I thought was interesting was I saw multiple people like not taking all their clothes off to have sex.
Yeah. Yep.
Just kind of, I don't know. Is there a term for that?
I don't know, actually. But yeah, a lot of people like, and I think maybe that's part of the fantasy of having sex in public is, oh, I'm partially dressed, or like you just hiked up my skirt or something like that,
Right. Like maybe part of it could be a fetish. Part of it could be like just having a little armor, a little safety, not feeling totally revealed and vulnerable.
Yeah.
But being able to just kind of, sneak it.
Yeah. Kind of Donald Duck your way into sex.
Oh my God. Donald Duck and Porky Pigging it in the corner. Yep. But that's all, folks. Hand me the cum rag.
Pork ducking.
Pork ducking. Tur what the fucking in the corner. Just making sure it gets stuffed. That's all. That's all I know.
That would be so fun to wear like a shirt and someone wear a pig mask and someone wear a duck mask.
Yeah.
And they're both wearing shirts, and then they just go to a club and fuck in the corner. Like really awkwardly fuck in the corner.
Oh my God. That just gave me a great Halloween costume idea. Like literally just like one of you wear like the Porky Pig top, no bottoms, just like shirt cock it or shirt cunt it or whatever you do. Like full on. Is that what you just said?
Pretty much, except
Oh.
I was just talking about just going to a sex club like that. But
Yeah,
not.
but the full costume, right? Headpiece and everything.
Oh, well, I was just thinking mask, but yeah.
But yeah, whatever.
Oh,
Yeah, mask,
yeah.
some kind of. Okay,
Totally.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I must have been distracted by my own thought. I love that idea. Even if you make fake genitals, just so you
Yeah.
can go to like a party like I did at our
Totally.
show where I made Gary. I made a shirt cocker costume for a party where I made these big, really fake looking stuffed genitals just so that no one would be like really threatened, you know. But it was fun. It was really fun being a shirt cocker, with a tie dye and a mullet for a night. I loved sexually harassing women that night. And the great
were
thing.
So good at it.
Thank you. I gave lap dances. It was awesome. But yeah.
It changed your whole personality.
It really did.
You were like kind of like creepy and gross.
Oh, I know. Well,
Awesome.
He's a shaman and he's a photographer. Hey, ladies, how you doing? You look really great. Can I take your picture? Yeah, it's going to go into it's an aura camera. I'm just taking a picture of your aura as he goes in on their tits.
Yeah. Your aureola.
Your aureola. I mean, aura.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
How are we doing on time? Oh,
Yeah.
It is time. I could feel
Holy
it
shit.
in my bones.
6 on the boner.
Yeah, 6
Yeah.
on the boner.
All right.
Well, we have to do all the things like
yeah.
write us. Was that an orgy at gmail.com? Check out our
Yes.
Insta, which is below.
Yeah, you can click on everything below, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And then, if you do all that stuff, we'll get used to the spiel one day. It's like, if you like us on YouTube and subscribe, all of that just kind of helps us get to where we can like maybe make some ad money one day.
Yeah. And we have a Patreon.
Oh yeah, we have a Patreon.
Yeah, we were super clever. We called it, was that an orgy, I think.
Yeah, I
Pretty
think so,
sure,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And yes, every episode is paid for by this bitch. So, if you, I don't know, even give $1 a month, it helps to like keep all these fabulous lights on and pay that stud in the other room there.
That's
to like,
right.
yeah.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow. He
He
doesn't dance for free. No,
he doesn't
doesn't.
dance for
No, he
free.
doesn't.
Oh, he might for us though, just for us. Yeah, after the cameras go off. I hope so. Yeah, yeah. Is that all, folks?
I think that's it.
Are we Porky Pigging it now?
Yeah.
That's all, folks. Thanks for tuning into our tune-in. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Cunt.
You calling me a cunt? Don't call me a cunt. You better not call me a cunt.
We're back.
We're back. Yay. Woohoo. Yeah.
I'm always there beside you, no matter where you stop. I'll follow you to movies, even to the barber shop. Now, eager beaver, baby. Eager beaver, baby. Eager beaver, baby.